Rex Board, can we start off by Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. First, as the calendar has changed, we need to do a reorganization to nominate a chair and vice chair. And I guess I would ask if there are any nominations for the position of chair.
I would put forth a motion to nominate Fenton Fitzpatrick for chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Unfortunately, Mike Glynn is not with us tonight, but we need to nominate and make a motion for the position of vice chair. Do I have a...
Yes, I'd like to nominate Michael Glynn.
Thank you, Chuck. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Congratulations to Michael and to Fenton. I think. Also, we have Dr. Joe Ritz has no longer with us on the board of Park and Rec as he served his term, and we would like to welcome Luke Clark, who's joining us for his first meeting. And Luke, welcome aboard, and looking forward to spending some time doing some township stuff with you.
I'm looking forward to serving. Thank you.
Great. Do you want to just maybe just give us just a little brief update or background on you and your time in the township and so forth?
Sure. I'm an attorney down in media. Been practicing for 3 years now. Moved up to the township in August of 2011 with my wife and our young son. We're excited to be up here and wanted to serve the township, so that's what brings me here today.
Great. Thank you, and welcome aboard. Okay. Bob, are you doing announcements?
I can if you'd like to.
That'd be great.
I can walk right through that.
Unfortunately, Tammy is ill at home, and we're going to have our township manager jump in, and that'd be great.
Sure, thank you. The Board of Commissioners meetings will take place on Monday, January 28th and Monday, February 11th at 7 p.m. All the meetings are held here in the Township building in the Radnor room. Everyone's invited to attend those. The next Parks and Rec Board meeting will take place on Thursday, February 14th, which is, that's Valentine's Day, but it's also Heart Smart Day, and that's one good thing on the recreation side. Here also at the Township building at 6:30 p.m. The Winter and Spring 2013 Recreational Activities brochure is currently available online and taking registrations. You can visit our website here, the Radnor Township's website, as well as radnorrecreation.com for more details and access to the Winter and Spring 2013 Recreation Activities brochure. The 2013 Winter Township newsletter is also available online, and it has been mailed to homes and businesses throughout the township. Hopefully you've received one of those. If you haven't, and sometimes we get different areas of the township where we see it hasn't been delivered. If you let us know if you haven't received it, we want to follow up with the post office as well to see what might have happened on that. The discount ticket program for residents is available, including discount tickets to area attractions such as movie theaters, the Camden Adventure Aquarium, and ski resorts. And I know that a number of staff people take advantage of the movie ones too. It's a very good discount. So that's a very good program to take advantage of. The futsal tournament at the Radnor Activity Center at Sapezio Gym will take place on Monday, January 21st. The new Radnor Township Mystery Dinner Theater event is taking place on Saturday, January 28th. I know that's a new program here that the Recreation and Community Programs Department came out with, and the good news is that it has been sold out. So that I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. The Daddy-Daughter Dance will take place on Friday, February 8th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Willows Mansion for Valentine's Day. And for a listing of the Recreation and Community Program Department's activities, please visit their website at www.radnorrecreation.com.
Great, thank you. Any questions on the announcements? Looks like I missed the approval for our minutes from December. Is there a motion to approve our minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 7-0.
Fenton?
Yes,
Just
John.
wanted to- I think Jim Higgins was also at that meeting. It doesn't indicate that.
Which,
See up the top, the very first paragraph talks about the attendees, and it has myself and Elaine, but it doesn't have Jim
okay,
Higgins.
all right, we'll make sure we make a note of that.
Thank you.
As we have a couple of our school board members that have to leave a little bit early, I'd like to jump into the old business and to touch base on the Willows recommendation. At our last meeting, we deferred making a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners due to not having some goals as far as what the commissioners were looking for, to which we received some guidance and that were approved by the Board of Commissioners, and their charge was to make a ranking of the proposals that we received, that we saw in November, just before Thanksgiving. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments or questions on that process, or what we're looking to do as far as putting forth our list of the rankings? No? Okay. Basically, what we did was we had the folks on the Park and Rec Board submit their rankings, to which we put together a numerical number associated with how they fell in place and in line with each of their submissions. And we totaled them up, and basically we put together a ranking for how the presentations fell in the opinion or the judgment of the Board of Park and Rec Board. With that, can I put put it up on the Is this on? What I'll do is is that legible? Yeah, that's pretty good. As requested. As requested by the Radnor Township Board of Commissioners, the Park and Rec Board was asked to provide a ranking of the presentation given to our board as part of the RFP process for the Willows Mansion, Cottage, and Park on November 20th, 2012. Based on the nature of the presentations, I believe the rankings below fairly summarize the consensus of our board. Each Park and Rec Board was asked to submit their own ranking of the presentations, and numerical value was given to each submission, valued 9 through 1. Totals were then added to determine the overall consensus ranking. Anybody have any thoughts or comments regarding our ranking of how we put together our rankings that we're going to submit to the commissioners?
Fenton, I just think that, I think we discussed this, and we want to make sure people understand. This is a ranking, but needless to say, the administration, well, first the Board of Commissioners have to do quite a bit of vetting in these proposals. This is really a conceptual presentation that needs further refinement from those that are selected by the Board of Commissioners to move forward. That's my feeling of it. I just want to make sure that people understood that.
Is it fair that we put or identify what the goals or the objectives were that, John, you had put forth in your memo? I mean, I have that if you want. Objectives were to maintain the Willows property in its entirety as a resource for all township residents, minimize, if not eliminate, the financial drain of the Radnor Township, bring the property up to established building codes and bring it back to the condition that is necessary to support the activities envisioned. Restoration of the historical elements of the building is highly preferred, and any changes should be period-centric, if not historically accurate. Guide development and/or restoration of the existing structures in manner keeping with the character of the neighborhood. Continue to provide some opportunity for use at reduced rates for township residents and community groups. That is the charge and the direction that we were given by the Township Board of Commissioners. And I think the ranking, based on the presentations that we saw, based on this charge, based on the goals that were put forth by the commissioners, is what we came up with. And again, it's our opinions, our rankings of the presentations based on the limited presentations that we saw. Certainly there's more venting, as Pat had alluded to, of taking the process to another level. And but I guess based on what we were given and what we saw, I think the ranking that we have put forth is an accurate description of what this board is recommending.
Yeah, and I also want to add that although it does accurately represent our board and the rankings, I think we all agreed that none of the proposals met all of the Board of Commissioners' goals that were handed to us last month with regard to this process. So there is still a fair amount of work that needs to be done at the Board of Commissioner level to vet these, and that's the ultimate answer for the Willows may not be one of these proposals, but something that comes out of this process as it moves forward.
Agreed.
I completely concur with those comments as well.
John, Elaine, any thoughts or comments?
No, thank you for your consideration. We have also received a letter of recommendation from the Board of Commissioners, so we will probably take the top 3 or 4 of these and ask those folks to come in and make a presentation to the Board of Commissioners, and then develop more detailed criteria. These were fairly high level, so we can narrow down on where we're heading with it.
Do you need a motion from this board to move it forward, or you don't think it's necessary?
If we want to make a motion that the rankings that we that I just showed and put forth are acceptable and for putting forth to the Board of Commissioners, that's fine. Did somebody want to make that motion?
Go ahead.
So moved.
I'll second it. Go ahead.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Does somebody want to make the motion?
I thought you just did.
I was confused. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Is there any public participation? Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Bob, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure, if the board would like, I've submitted a recommendation also to the Board of Commissioners regarding the process that's come out of here, so I'm not sure if you want me to review that with you briefly?
If you'd like, that's fine.
Sure, okay. I made a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners after reviewing the proposals, reviewing the public presentations that were made here at this board, and reviewing back through the RFP. I made some recommendations, but again, this recommendation goes to the BOC for their final determination, so they will actually make the determination of who will be the selection and how to proceed. But those firms that were recommended, which I saw as being the top 4, was Jeffrey Miller Catering and Lake House, 100 Street LLC Development Group, Cross Street Capital, and C.F. Holloway III and Company. As part of that is the recommendation is the 4 firms here recommending to the board that they consider these firms working closely with the township's staff in addressing the objectives that I know John Nagel and the Board of Commissioners put together, and taking those and kind of molding it together. A lot of the public comment as well as the comments that were taking place here, which fall in the category here of about 7 items in which briefly, the township does not want to give up ownership of any portion of the Willows property. The public park, open space, pond, sledding hill, and trails will continue to remain as public space with full access by members of the Radnor Township community. The township would like to eliminate its annual operating and maintenance expenses for the mansion and cottage. The township would like the mansion and cottage renovated at the proposed development firm's total expense. The township would like an annual fee paid for use of both properties. The township would like the character of the proposed development to match the surrounding neighborhood, as well as incorporating the historical design elements of the Willows Mansion and Cottage. The township would like Radnor Township residents and community groups and organizations, which currently takes place, to have the opportunity to continue to use the facility at a discounted rate. And the township would like the Recreation and Community Programming Department to have the continued use of the facilities being proposed for a fixed number of days each year that benefits the entire Radnor community at no cost to the township. So that would be a criteria that we would propose to the board, that this would be followed. And I think a lot with the board this now would start to hone down what we want to look at here. As well as, too, as part of this is the next kind of step to this as well. We would want to look at, again, the detail, their intent to address the goals of the township, which we just spoke about here, bringing them with regarding maintenance and code compliance issues, the scope of the adaptive reuse of the property. So it's very clear what they are proposing here that meets these goals, the operations of what they propose, the amount of the investment that's going to be made, as well as an accompanying timeline of when the development would take place from the time that it was released to completion, improvements to the public park that we would want to know, any infrastructure improvements that they would be proposing. If there's a term of a long-term lease, we'd like to know what those incentives are that they would offer the township to consider, and to define what an annual payment would look like, similar to what Memorial Field was finally arrived upon. And that these proposals then would be submitted directly to the Board of Commissioners, presented in public to the board, in which it would go through the final presentation process. Again, they would be posted to the website so everybody would be able to see those. They'd all be televised, so again, available for replay, and full public input and discussion, the future plans and reuse of the cottage. So that's kind of where my recommendation to the board, which I know they're going to consider what you've put together for them. They'll take into consideration what we've put together here, and then they'll formalize kind of the next process, and I'm sure that they will let you know what's taking place during that process. But again, too, is I would definitely like to extend my sincerest thanks and appreciation for all the hard work and efforts that you did. You went on the front line, the firing lines here with, you know, an issue that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts here in the township. A lot of concern, and I know that there were a lot of rumors that have spun kind of in every different direction on this, but I think you handled it very professionally and conducted yourselves with great respect and represented the township very well. So I want to thank you for all of that. And again, your commitment and dedication. To reiterate, you do this on a volunteer basis. There's a lot of hours that you spend that people don't see behind the scenes that you put in, not only visiting the parks, being involved, reviewing a lot of information. I know that Tammy puts out to you as well, and communicating and giving her feedback as well. So I just want to recognize you and thank you for all your hard work and efforts on this.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody have any thoughts or comments? I guess certainly I think the Board of Commissioners will pick and choose how the process will go forward. I think the sentiment amongst the Park and Rec Board is that the criteria that is in Bob's memo is pretty clear and pretty laid out as far as how and the process should be forward, and what to the folks that do get moved to the second or the next level should be considering with regards to their presentations at the next level. So thank you, Bob. Is there any public comment? Yeah. You have to come up to the microphone.
This may be premature, but I was just very shocked to see the rate that Holloway was even on that list. what you're talking about is a major development, having looked at their plan, versus a caterer coming in and just keeping the property looking the same. Can
Well,
you
again, I think-
expand on that, the two extremes? I'm Karen Kludgeon, and I'm a resident of Radnor Township.
Again, I think what we did was we took a look at the criteria that we were given to include maintaining and refurbishing the cottage and the mansion as at no expense to the township. That was certainly one presentation that certainly took an effect in that. Now, the presentation in its entire is I guess we would take a look at and say was more or less a concept, and that was the general consensus and the opinion of the folks on this board.
You see, I mean, there are two. One is a major development with townhouses and all sorts of roadways, and it's a whole totally different thing.
Again, it was the opinion.
Sure, that if they're going to maintain the willows, that's one thing, but
This is just a first step, ma'am.
that's what I said. I
know.
started by saying
Again,
this may be premature.
It's a
But
first step, and this
we
is...
are talking about two very different things.
It was a first step, and we were to evaluate the proposals at hand.
You saw all the presentations, ma'am?
I did view them when they first came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just even add to that, as part of that process I know that I looked at is who has the capabilities to be able to do a development like this. And even though we look at the land area, and I think it was clear from the Board of Commissioners as well as public input about the development and taking public land is not an option. But I think when you look at the capabilities, and I think when you look at Mr. Holloway's development here of what's being done with the Luella Mansion there, and I know I had the ability to walk through it in its horrible condition that it was in. That's my opinion. It was in bad shape, and what it's being brought back and restored to in its state, even though you may have an agreement or disagreement of how it's being used, but you have another mansion, the Willows Mansion here, that potentially could have something like that or not. So you're looking at really who are the people that have the capabilities to do this, and that's where my criteria came from. So I think your comments are very premature, because I think you're going to see this in the criteria that's spelled out about not selling land and that. I think will address a lot of the concerns you may have.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing no other further business, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry. No. I'm looking at new business, Alderman, my bad.
Trying to beat Hickey's record.
Actually, activities report, Mr. Zinkowski.
I believe there was one, Tammy had submitted one to you as the
Okay.
activities report, so
Perfect.
take that as submitted.
Shade tree?
The shade tree does not meet.
Perfect.
Not meet in December, so there's no report.
Okay. School board?
School board meeting, we had speeches honoring Linda Grobman on her retirement, and it's just important to, I think, let the community know that we are actively engaged now in considering applicants for that position. We also have brought on board an interim superintendent, Dr. Tony Costello, who joined us this week and will be with us until we find a permanent successor, and that process is underway.
Great.
I would just like to add that we have, as a school board, have really made a commitment to be part of the Park and Rec Board, because we pushed back a series of interviews that are happening tonight so that we could come here and be part of the reorganizational meeting and be part of the discussion. And we value our role on the board, and we take it very serious. So we just wanted to let you guys know
Great.
that.
And thank you, and we're excited to have you guys back on our board for another year.
And with that, we are leaving.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Susan. Any committee reports? EAC?
EAC did not meet, thank you.
Okay. Commissioners update.
The only item of significance, other than appointing a new member to your board, is that we elected Elaine Schaefer to be the president of our board. And that They're applauding now. We'll wait and see. Or she'll have to wait and see. And as far as the assignments, it's still Elaine, myself, and John Fisher that are on the Parks and Rec Committee of the board. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, John. Any other public participation? Any other comments from the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you.